The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Yes, we're back! And I'm back a little later than I anticipated. It's been a very weird schedule. I meant to have we promised you a Shirt Tales episode like last episode. This is it. We're going to talk some Shirt Tales, but we got a lot of stuff to get to before we get to Shirt Tales. Because maybe you don't even remember Shirt Tales, but we do. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk some Shirt Tales, but you know what? Disney Plus Day is actually today, the day we're recording it, so we got some stuff to talk about right there. But of course, so you know who I am, just in case you're new here. I'm your Spider-Pan Jeremy, but you heard that other little voice in there.
Oh, that's me.
That's the Lost Boy Philip.
Hello.
And he's back again. And I'm back again. Are you happy we're back? I'm sure happy we're back, aren't you?
I am.
We're back in your ears, whether you're in the car, whether at work. We are back to have some more fun. This might be a shorter episode, but here's the thing. I got to make sure y'all know. Saturday, hopefully I'll get this out in time. It'll be on Friday before this episode gets released. Saturday, September 10th, is when we're going to Marceline. 10 a.m. Meet us in front of the museum if you're happening to be there. But here's something I need y'all to do for me. If you're coming, if you're part of the Facebook fan page, the event thing should be there. Please let me know that you're coming on the event thing. So we were supposed to do this a couple of weeks ago, and things kind of fell apart last minute. Philip wasn't feeling well. I didn't know that anybody was going to be able to make it, and I haven't heard if anybody showed up and we weren't there. If you showed up there and we weren't there, I do apologize. I'm sorry that happened, but nobody got mad at me on Facebook that I saw. So if you're intending to come, please let me know so I can expect you, so I know even if everything falls apart, I will make sure my butt is there to meet you. But yeah, do something. Send us a message on Facebook or something. Let me know that you are coming on Saturday. We're going to record the 400th episode of this show.
That's right. Oh, Marceline.
Well, they're coming to you. Oh, and you know what? I've become what the young people have done now.
What's that?
Even though China's probably getting all my information out of it, I'm on TikTok.
You're on TikTok.
I am on TikTok because you know what? I've noted here in the history of this show in the 400 episodes, we built an audience.
Good.
And it grew. And then like COVID happened, and we lost half, and then we ditched the Disney, and we lost more.
Well,
and this show has gotten kind of small.
Yeah.
And I did actually have the thoughts in my head. Maybe the 400th episode should be where I wrap it up. But then I thought, no, I built this up from nothing before. I can do it again. But what I need to do is reach out to where people are at. Although the younger people are probably going to be over TikTok. And I don't know if I have the appeal to the younger people, but I'm trying to do more things on TikTok to try to see if we can get more people interested in coming and checking out what we're doing. So it's on TikTok, the Spider-Pan. If you happen to be on TikTok, come follow me. I'm going to try to do some more stuff with it. I need to be more interactive on that sort of thing to see if we can regrow this, because we still got something good going on here. We got a different show entirely. But really, this is the type of show. If heck, we're just going to be we're blunt as a spoon about this. If you're kind of sick and tired of some of the wokeness and the agendas ruining the things that we were entertained by, we're going to probably wind up, I'm going to rant about it. It's going to happen. But it also is where we go and enjoy the stuff that didn't have all these agendas, all the stuff that we enjoyed in the 80s. And you are talking to like, Disney nerds that are kind of disappointed, but we still love vintage Disney, and we still love Walt and everything that he did.
And some of the new things.
In fact, we're going to talk about that actually today. So, but we're not the Disney show we were, but we still enjoy stuff. But we also, I don't know that we have enough voices out there that I don't want to be the voice that just complains about everything. You got enough of people who are, like conservative minded or even just libertarian minded, who are on YouTube, and they get really sick and tired of me, and their entire premise is complaining about stuff. I don't want to become that show. I was afraid I'm getting close because I'm getting so frustrated with stuff that I wanted to enjoy, and they kick me in the teeth. But I'm going to focus on what's fun, because that's what this show's supposed to be. So if you're interested in that and you're wanting to hear voices from people who actually go to church and like it,
Yeah, that's
let's be blunt as a spoon. That's the type of people we are, and if that is you, welcome. Even if that's not you. If you're not a regular churchgoer to where you don't want to hear a Christian perspective on stuff, but you still enjoy the show, that's great. We'd love to have you. So, but I'm just going to let you know it's going to come out.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna pull my punches on so much, I guess, anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually part of a group that's a Christian Podcasters Association. A lot of people trying to inspire people. I want you to come and have fun, but I'm going to tell you, we're coming from that perspective, but that is a positive and loving perspective to have.
That's right.
And heck, well, Phil said many times he's a pastor.
Yeah, I am a pastor. I don't hide it anymore. And the truth be told, it's not that I ever tried to hide it, but used to. I was coming from a perspective where people would think that just because you say you're a Christian or a pastor, people think, oh, he must be condemning, or oh, you're trying to force me. But no one's trying to force you anything. At the same time, I shouldn't be forced to keep everything quiet either.
Right.
And I won't.
But we do want to be positive, and we want to love on you, and we want to have fun with you, and that's why we are here.
Yeah. That's
so,
right.
but yeah, I feel like I wanted to just reorient exactly what this show is going to be here moving forward, because we do definitely have opinions. But if you happen to know, like, hey, I have a lot of my Christian friends, and we like all this stuff, and we were looking for a good show that we could all listen to. Well, let me tell you, this is your show for you to tell your friends about, because we're going to come from a Christian perspective. Heck, I've had people that were people on Adventures in Odyssey. That have done other cartoons as well. And I've even been thinking, I've been catching up on Adventures in Odyssey. By the way, if you don't know, that's a radio show. It's produced by Focus on the Family. It's one of the longest running radio shows of all time.
Yeah.
And I've been working on catching up and checking out the library and just listening to it. And that show, it is really, it's very different. And I've seen it like in a fan group I'm part of, people have complained that we've lost some characters because some actors have passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always sad we lose some great characters because they can't, there's some people you cannot replace that actor for that character. No, you just
can't. It just can't be done.
And so, yeah, it seems different. But as I was kind of away from the show and come back and been listening from the library, the show is fantastic, and they're really tackling some really good issues and doing it in a good and fun way. This show has made me laugh, made me cry over the past few weeks that I've been catching up listening. And I want to have some of the writers on the show if I can. I'm going to try to work that out and talk about what it's like to write for a show that's been going on for this long and to keep it so relevant. I mean, it's amazing. So I'm going to see if I can get some of them to come on the show, just because I think we could learn stuff from how do you keep things relevant and teachable, and without having like an agenda shove, but you're being teachable without preaching.
Well, one thing that this is very true. Morality, even if morals in civilization may change, morality never really changes. It never stops.
Yeah.
One of the things, my favorite show of all
social
time.
norms change.
Yeah, social norms change. That's the truth. My favorite TV show of all time is Andy Griffith Show.
Heck yeah, brother.
It's my favorite show of all time. The thing that is true, I even have books about this, but the old show is based off of biblical truths and morality, and a lot of the old classic greats of war. That's not to say that they were right in the middle of it. You didn't hear Barney go, as it says in Romans 3:23. He didn't ever do that.
Yeah.
But the truth is there's a lot of even in the old shows like Leave It to Beaver and all that.
Good life lessons.
Yeah, good life lessons.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what they would call it, life lessons. You'd have the father telling them, we shouldn't lie, or that basically even if you did, and all people do lie, incidentally, when you're a little kid. You sometimes you do it because you're trying not to hurt someone's feelings, but it will come back and catch you.
It will. You'll hurt them worse later.
Exactly, and that's what I liked about the old shows was that all of us have found ourselves in those positions. If we're honest, we find ourselves in those positions. The difference is nowadays, a lot of times the lesson is there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is, and I like the old shows like that because they teach you that even if you had good intentions, in the long run, it will come back to get you. Yeah,
you're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. It's still doing wrong.
That's what I love about those shows you were mentioning a while ago. I can't think. You just mentioned it. The radio show,
Adventures in Odyssey.
Thank you. I can't remember. And I didn't even know about it until teaching children's church, what I did for 25 years.
We watched some of the cartoons.
The cartoons, and some of them are the same voices. Not all of them, I don't think you said, but most of them more the same voices.
The main voices that are there, I mean, I don't remember if Connie showed up in the animated. I think she did, but like you had Hal Smith still as John Avery Whittaker.
Yeah.
Will Ryan, that recently passed, was Eugene.
Eugene, absolutely.
The kid on there, I don't know if he was actually a voice of any kids, but it's almost like the cartoon was under like a separate universe from the radio show.
It was kind of a 90s. It
was done differently. Yeah.
A 90s
you had like
type
the
of
airship kind of thing that would take them back instead of the imagination station.
And it was definitely a Star Trek type of fun, you know.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. It was not like on television; it was on video cassettes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, back in the day, when what you do is you go to a video store, and
you have to buy it like VeggieTales.
Yeah, you'd rent them, or you go to back then you go to a Christian bookstore, and you'd buy them, and you would have your kids at your church would watch them, which is what I would do.
Yeah,
or I would rent them, and eventually they would sell them to me, and things like that, and that's what I would do.
Yep.
And that was a lot of I used to rent them and show them to church for the kids, and they started loving the characters.
Yeah.
Is what we do.
And that the radio show is great. And it's great that I've gotten to talk to some of the major characters.
Oh, that's awesome.
I need to get to Andre Stoika, who's the current voice of Wit. It'd be nice to talk to him, because when you hear his voice, I've recognized him from like some commercials and stuff from back in the 80s. So there's a lot of actors on that show that I still like to get to. One of them I've tried, like Jess Harnell, who you would know mainly from he was Wacko from the Animaniacs, and he also voices Brer Rabbit and Roger Rabbit in the Disney parks. I mean, Jess Harnell, he's also the voice you'll hear in America's Funniest Videos. I've got to talk to him, and I was trying to get an arrangement to where I could get him on the show, but I don't think I'm going to manage.
Did you say he was Wacko?
Wacko, yeah, not Yakko, because Yakko was Rob Paulson.
Yes, that's right. Well,
we were talking about this. I got a funny story to tell you.
Wacko is my favorite of all the Animaniacs because he was going for this British, almost Beatles.
And it's exactly what he talks about. He's like because he can impersonate each and every Beatle, and Wacko was basically John Lennon with higher.
And he'd be going like, "I don't want to go." I loved him. He was
great. Faulty emergency.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh, just great stuff. But yeah, I would love to be able to get him on the show, but I don't think I can.
Hello, nurse.
Oh yes. But that actually reminds me of something. And speaking of, so what we've been playing this week, and I get to do some game review, and with you because you got to play this with me now. We were, and y'all know I was excited about this for a long time. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection finally dropped. Now here's the funny story of this. I pre-ordered it through GameStop, thinking, because with being part of the Disney Movie Club, I would order a movie that was coming out, and I would sometimes get it the day before it was released out into the stores. So I thought, well, hey, I'm pre-ordering a game through GameStop. And they're shipping it directly to me, which I found out with the discount stuff I was getting. I ended up paying about the same amount, just a little bit. I saved like $1 compared to how much it was going to be in the stores. Of course, I guess there would have been tax too. So I don't know that I really saved much money ordering it the pre-order. But I thought, okay, I'll hopefully get it either day of or maybe the day before. No, I didn't get it until Friday. I should have just went to the store.
I've had some of that
and bought it, and I'd have had it like a week ahead.
Same thing happened to me when I bought this is from Walmart. Usually you get things really quick. But when I bought the John Madden, the new one, but the reason why I did that was because I found out that when you buy, I wanted the special box. That came
you
with
got
it.
a steel case over there.
Yeah, the little steel case. It's a salute
or
to
steel book.
That's what they call it. The original kind of look, the original cover.
From the original Genesis.
The original Genesis game. And
That's
I love that. In fact, I've used it many times as a cover and I've even put my face on it on my Facebook picture and all. I loved John Madden. He was a good feller. I loved him, and tough acting. So anyway, I wanted that, but they said they were selling out at the store like right away. Well, I can't drive. I have to have special rides. I can't drive. I have seizures and all. So I ordered it. So it come. The problem is it came like 2 days later. I mean,
so
technically it was anyway, it showed up on a Saturday. Some people are like, "Oh, you're going to get it early." I didn't get it early. I got it late.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday, and it was like, I say a Saturday, I'm talking Saturday at like 8:30 or so at night. And then I had to download the thing.
Right.
And
it has to install and all that stuff.
So it wasn't until late that Sunday after church and everything that I was able to actually play it.
Oh. Yeah, I had to wait for the install. But you got a chance to play. Now, here's kind of another funny story. I had thought on the PlayStation 4 that if I hooked up our mics and everything, because you were playing from here and you were, so you're remoting into my system, and we played through the first arcade game and the second arcade game, and I thought if I do the settings, it's supposed to record the microphone, and on the video, and then I was going to put the video on YouTube, and I was going to use that audio actually for a podcast that would have come out, earlier this week. Well, it turns out it recorded my end of the microphone and not Philip's end of the microphone. So you only got like a one-sided conversation. And I debated on whether or not to release that audio. Yeah. I thought about it and I tried to, well, maybe if I edit it out, but it's like, no, this sounds really weird because you hear me going, yeah, and stuff like that. And I'm like, even if I cut that stuff out, I'm like, it's like a single-sided phone call. Nobody wants to listen to a single-sided phone call.
Yeah, because it sounds like you're insane.
Well, it does anyway. I mean, goodness, I already sound insane. So, but overall, though, we can give some impressions of the Cowabunga collection. And I saw one bad review.
Oh, we played for a long time.
Yeah, we did. We played for a couple hours. But I saw one person trying to give a bad review, and he's just nitpicking stupid stuff, like complaining the Game Boy games are not in color. This is an awesome collection, and I am thrilled to have them. And I'm not concerned about whether or not certain games got enhancements or not. I've got the games as they were presented, and the enhancements are a bonus. Although I would have liked, this is to me funny, the arcade games have an enhancement that you can turn on. It's God mode, which makes you pretty much invulnerable, except for certain the Shredder's anti-mutagen ray will still turn you into a real turtle again, into a normal turtle. I mean, but you also can kill every foot soldier with like one hit, and some bosses with one hit. Now, I didn't need that in the arcade games because I can hit a button and coin it as much as I need to. What I could have used it on is the NES game. The original NES game would have been great. But what's cool, they give you a 10-second reverse. So if you make a mistake, you can back it up, and then you've learned from that mistake, and then you don't make that mistake. Using that technique, I beat that old NES game without a GameCube. It's not a GameCube, but a Game Genie, because the only time I'd ever beat it before was over at Jim and Nick's house with a Game Genie on.
I remember that.
Without a Game Genie, I beat the old NES game now.
Yeah.
When I make a mistake, I reverse time a little bit and say, okay, I know what's over there. Let's do it this way. And sometimes it took me a few tries.
Reverse time. It almost sounds like that movie Groundhog Day, where he'd make a mistake. He goes, no white chocolate, no.
Yeah. Except for he had to wait 24 hours before he get that incident again.
That's true.
But me, I could do it within 10 seconds. That's like playing the Prince of Persia Sands of Time game, where you could back it up, say, okay, let's not do that. Although there were some areas that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to bulldoze my way through it and hope I'm still alive at the end, But I beat the game. I'm so proud of myself. And you can find footage of this on our YouTube channel, the official Neverland gaming channel, or Neverland official gaming channel, something like that.
Did you just take out the noise to it? Or you didn't put us on there playing?
No, this is just me playing that. I don't have the footage of us playing the arcade game because it sounds weird.
Oh, well, you sure? Yeah.
Well, see, this means you're going to have to come over to the house. We're going to hook up that microphone, and we're going to play it again. Because we had some good conversations about the voices and all the different things about the Ninja Turtles, where we had a good conversation while we're playing. And it would have been a good episode, but things didn't work out. But we had a good old time playing it. And then after, of course, we played through... we played the first arcade game, second arcade game. We finished up the Hyperstone heist. You helped me get where I was stuck there. And then we went through and played. The first time we finally got to go through and play Shredder's Revenge completely together.
There was a lot of good memories, I'll tell you that.
Oh, we had a ball.
Yeah, a lot of great memories. Took me back to my early teenage days.
Yeah.
And, I mean, man.
Eating those pizza snacks.
Oh, yeah. And
eating those horrible green pudding pies.
Love those things. They're horrible for me.
They're bad for you because it's nothing but like pudding and sugar.
I had a lot of good memories because here's the thing. That came at a time when I was 14. The movie had already come out, I went through they had the second movie about to come out. I had gone through my first brain surgery at that time, and those were out. And my mom, being as loving and kind as she was, she knew I was going through a lot of problems. I had already gone back to school and come back, and she went out and bought me a couple of those. And I still have some of those stickers somewhere.
Nice.
And but what she had done was there was a show that was on at the time. It was a big deal. It was for the 20th anniversary of in this 1991, 20th anniversary of a TV show. And at that time, TV shows were a lot bigger because you couldn't just watch anything you wanted to when you wanted to.
You had like 3 major channels,
and you had to videotape it, or if you had cable. But what we had to do is, we were watching it. It was a show called, the 20th anniversary of a TV show called All in the Family.
Oh goodness!
And I remember seeing reruns of it when I was a little kid, but I never watched it all because there was a lot of things too deep for me at the time. But I watched that. And that's when I started really getting interested. A couple years later, I started watching it at night and recording it a little bit of it and watching things at school from it. So that's my second favorite show. Even though I don't like all the political stuff in it, really, that's my second favorite TV show now.
Yeah, other than Andy Griffith's.
Andy Griffith's my very favorite. But anyway, so
round it back to Turtles somewhere.
Yeah, so that's where when I see those Ninja Turtle pies.
Oh, yeah.
I think of all that, including that was when I got to eat my very first one. I was watching that All in the Family anniversary special.
Which that actually reminds me, talking about like the first run of movies. I learned something, and we discussed this while we were playing the game, but it of course didn't get recorded. But I actually learned this week. I was watching. I can't remember what YouTube channel it is, but they had things you didn't know about the third Turtle movie. That actually had been a plan because they were trying to make a comeback because the second Ninja Turtle movie didn't do as well, and that's mainly because of parent groups that were, freaking out. And in the UK, they really hated Michelangelo's nunchucks. And there's also they didn't like the word ninja, so it was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. And anytime Michelangelo in the cartoon pulled out his nunchucks, they cut it out. And that's why in the second movie you don't see him use his nunchucks. He has combat cold cuts at one point.
I remember that.
But they're not concerned about Leonardo having swords, but they're worried about nunchucks. And I don't know what happened in England to where the nunchucks were a problem, but I think gangs were using them after seeing Bruce Lee learn them or something. I don't know, but there was a big deal with nunchucks. But anyways, they wanted to make this big comeback, so the idea was they're going to have this big epic story that was going to go through the animated series, and I've seen now I've never seen the episode because that aired kind of later than I was watching the cartoon. We were watching X-Men and Spider-Man still, don't get me wrong, and Batman, but I wasn't watching Turtles on Saturday mornings.
Well, they were also getting sillier, it seemed to us, and we were getting older too.
Well, they tried to make it darker with Batman the Animated Series, and you look at the style was kind of off. But there was going to be time travel in the comic book, in the animated, and in the movie, and it was kind of almost going to tie together. But and there is I've seen like with the Cowabunga collection, one of the things that's very cool about it is you have this Turtles layer, and you can look at all the old box art, all the manuals. You can look at the cover art from the comics, and you can look at stills from the animated series all the way up to Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Very cool. So I was able to look and say, oh, look, there's a still from the animated episode where they're back in time. And I saw the comic books. Oh, look, there they are back in time. Like I was seeing this video. And, of course, the third movie, which they wanted it to be this great time travel epic thing, but it was just not well written.
Well, it didn't make much sense.
And it didn't make a lot of sense with the swap. But there's a anime called Inuyasha that I just think is guilty of the same weird time travel. It doesn't make sense. And I've told Heather about it, but she don't care. She loves that show. But they didn't have the Jim Henson Creature Shop to really work on their turtles. They didn't have the budget to make the suits look good, and they didn't have the original voice of Raphael back. Although the guy who did Raphael did a pretty good job.
The problem that I had with that one too is, there was good things. I love that you had Casey Jones back.
Yeah,
and I love that you had
Hockey.
And I can't think of his name right now, but you had
a
couple other people back, but it just didn't have that. It wasn't exciting. But here's the thing: I really didn't care for the second movie much. I liked it. It was overly corny.
Yeah, it's kind of fun and dumb in its own way.
But
I can watch it more than I can the third one. That's for sure.
I like the first movie a lot. I like that there were some things about the second one being a little more cartoony that I did like.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it was a little too kiddie-ish, and it's like
hello parent groups.
Yeah, and then it's like, my goodness, and then by the time you get to the third one, I don't know. There's so much they could have done. Had it been me, I would have done a whole lot different, but it'd be more like a comic book movie, not a Pee-wee Playhouse adventure.
But that also, I almost forgot this reference when I was talking about it. You remember in the third movie, they find that scroll where there's drawings of them like they had come, like there had been a similar one before. That was a reference to what was in the comic book. That was supposed to have been that tie-in right there. Yes,
that's cool.
So that was the thing, and so like the daimyo who talked about his ancestors had fought these green demons or whatever. That was supposed to have been when the turtles had gone back in the comic book universe. So it was interesting. They were trying to have like an epic Shogun style story, but it just wasn't written well enough.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it didn't go over well. But yeah, it's great to be able to play these old games, and anyone who's manufacturing, I think this guy was just trying to get views by manufacturing. Oh, well, this game sucks. It doesn't suck. It's exactly the games that you wanted. And I actually saw even a video today. It's like, you know what? Konami is actually trying to prove that they do still care about these games by re-releasing the Castlevania collections, like 2 Castlevania collections, a Contra collection, and a Turtle collection. And my hope is, and I've seen other people talk about this, and this is selling well.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the Cowabunga collection, that maybe they'll go ahead and release a second set that's, maybe the other games that were released for the 2002, 2003, or I guess it was 2001 when that second animated series. There was a bunch of games that were put out for that. And so maybe they can put together another collection that has all these other games. I would probably get it, just because I haven't played all those, and it might be fun. So I'm down with that. So, but it's just nice to get these old games presented in the original format. Although you do have the option for like the Nintendo games that you can get rid of where stuff would kind of blink a little bit, because the hardware at the time couldn't handle everything.
I don't have no idea how old this person is who said that.
I don't know, but they sounded like an adult, but I'm like, you cannot have been a kid who grew up with these games.
Well, the other thing is if you have played a million games since then, and then you kind of sometimes forget how it really was, and then when you go back and play it again, you're like, oh, you know what? For instance, I love this game called Techno Wrestling, and I went to replay it one time on some computer thing, and I was like, oh, man. I forgot just how not good it really was. I have great memories of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a great game. It was great for its time. It was fantastic for its time because we had nothing else at that time. But you go back, that's even before the WWF main event wrestling or whatever it was. They called WrestleMania or whatever.
Yeah, that WrestleMania game that was
great.
Not good either.
No, but it was great for its time because it's all we had.
Right.
But
when you compare it to like the NES Pro Wrestling game, that was done a lot better than.
And then when you go, but now you go to play those even, you're like, oh, compared to what we can do now on these games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And this collection
you can't go back and say, oh, man, the thing is we got games now that are so much better, but.
The technology is better, but the gameplay is not necessarily better.
That's what I was
going
to say. We're going back in time and enjoying what we had through time.
Yeah.
It's like enjoying a history lesson.
And that's what this collection is meant for. It's meant for those of us that grew up with the original animated series and we had fun with it. Mm-hmm. And it's something, if you're an adult and you have kids, I don't have any kids, but you could share these with your kids because, your nephew Freddie, he's played some old games and he's loved them. And he's like, it's that retro is back in style. So I think even... kids probably could still play these and still have fun with them.
Yeah, some are better than others because, for instance, you can't go back and play the Game Boy stuff and say, wow, they're really top notch now. But hey,
they may not look top notch. At the time, the graphics were
great. All we had.
But the gameplay is still solid. It still holds up on these.
The thing is we was talking about this the other day. I remember having a wrestling game for my watch from Tiger Beat.
Tiger Electronics, Tiger Beat was a teen magazine, brother.
At the same time. Now, so Tiger Electronics and the Tiger, but it beat me definitely because it was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
Oh,
but I loved it. You know why? I got to carry it around with me. We didn't have anything else, so we enjoyed it.
Yeah. We enjoy it, but the overall thing is, I think these games still do hold up.
We sound like those two old characters of Dana Carvey and whoever it was that they used to say, and we liked it. We loved it.
Yeah. And one last thing I got to share on the Cowabunga collection I thought was kind of neat is the chief meteorologist at the TV station I worked at. I was showing him some stuff with the Shredder's Revenge thing, and he was talking about that he actually in one of his previous jobs he worked, and I think he owned some sort of little place that he actually had the old Ninja Turtle arcade game, and he used to love to play that when he was younger. Had a grand old time with that old arcade game. I got to show him the Cowabunga collection at some point here. But I'm kind of getting a habit at the TV station. I'll go up to St. Joe in the morning. If I'm not super busy, I'll use my lunch break to drive back home so I can work from home for the afternoon. Because otherwise I won't get home until after 6. And I'm like, I'd rather be home and be done with work around 5 o'clock and then I'm home. So unless I'm super busy and I need to be in the office, I'm kind of getting a habit of coming home in the afternoons.
Homeward bound, like Simon Garfunkel.
But anyway, so that's our big thing I'll review. I definitely recommend the Cowabunga collection for all of the people around our age, if you grew up, or even younger, like I think the generation behind us, they were even smaller kids with the original Ninja Turtles.
Oh, sure.
And I'm sure, you grew up with this, you're going to have fun. And especially if you happen to have kids, this is a perfect thing you can share with your kids. And you can play together. You can play online if you want to. Now, I guess there's a few bugs in some of the online play, but that's okay. These are games that weren't originally online, but, it's great to play the old arcade games and all this stuff. It's just great fun. It's everything that I wanted in the collection. Oh, yeah. I am just so happy to have it.
That's good.
But I don't have any news today other than, I'm going to hit the news button anyway because I do have one thing that I just want to amend something.
spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
I probably should update that one because, but we do still cover some Disney stuff. But, all right, so previously we mentioned the Disney Dreamlight Valley game. That was kind of a surprise. Nobody knew it was coming. It released on September 6th. Now, previously it had been reported to me, and as I reported, it was supposed to be free.
Free?
Well, apparently now Xbox, the Microsoft Game Pass, I guess you can play it through the Game Pass, but it is not free for the rest of us.
Yeah.
I was looking forward. I wanted to try it out. It's like, oh, hey, it's free. This is a Disney, and it's very similar to Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. And I was like, oh, I want to check this out. This sounds like fun. It ain't free. It'll cost you about $30. So I have not spent my money on this thing yet. If you have, let me know if you liked it. I have watched a little bit of video of it. It does look kind of neat, and I'm probably going to check it out at some point. But I was going to check it out when it was free. So. That's the only news thing I have. I just wanted to make an amendment. But after that, before we start talking Shirt Tales, I have some TV and movie reviews.
Oh, want to see a movie?
Yeah, any good?
It was bad?
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing.
My eyeballs could have been sucked from their sockets.
I like it a lot. The best movie ever made.
A Fandom Nexus movie review.
And I'll start with the television review. Today, as we mentioned before, is Disney Plus Day. So and I don't know why today was Disney Plus Day. I guess the day before D23. I don't know. Because it's not exactly the anniversary, the 3-year anniversary. D23, that is the big fan club thing, like the big convention that they do every couple of years, which I'm not paying attention to because we're not the Disney enthusiasts we used to be. No. I'm going to pay a little bit of attention just because I'm curious about stuff, and I'm sure there'll be some stuff, but I'm not. Normally I'd be like, ooh, D23, man, I wish I could go. Now I'm like, oh, D23, well, I'll find out what happens later.
Yeah.
My attitudes have changed. But today was Disney Plus Day, which they gave us a 10-minute preview of Andor. Oh my gosh.
I'll have to look that up.
Woohoo! That's what day was it coming? Because, today's the 8th. I think it's later this month, I believe, that series. They're going to give us, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. So excited for that.
I wondered because today, was it today? Yeah, today I watched She-Hulk. And when I did, I saw that it had something about Andor, and maybe it was just promoting. I don't know.
Yeah, it was because, this is also the day I think Thor Love and Thunder is fresh today.
Yes,
it's on there now.
I saw that.
But they also dropped the entire series of Cars on the Road.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
I watched the whole thing today. I loved it. Oh my goodness. This was basically, if you wanted to know what Lightning McQueen was doing in his retirement, you kind of get that. Plus it's also, Mater gets notification, and this is stuff you pick up from the trailer. Mater gets notification that his sister's getting married, and so...
Oh, neat.
He's like, well, I want to go, and everybody's like, we didn't even know Mater had a sister.
I didn't.
And, well, Lightning says, well, why don't we just get him the back of Mac, and Mac can drive us all across there? And Mater's like, nah, buddy, we got a road trip this whole thing, and we'll go and stop and see all the sights. I mean, this series, it could have been a fifth Cars movie. Because it does have a consistent plot, but it's very episodic on all the crazy fun adventures that they have.
That sounds
I
fun.
had so much fun watching this. I just laughed and smiled.
Now,
yes.
Are these? You say these are episodic? Does this mean that they're episodes?
Yeah, but 11 minutes each. 11 to 12 minutes each.
Dang, I was kind of hoping 30 minutes because you know me.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, but there's like 10, I can't remember how many episodes there were, but there's enough where you could have had a full movie of it. And a lot of fun is that you get introduced to new characters that become reoccurring characters.
Fun.
It was a hoot. I had so much fun watching this.
A hoot and a holler?
A hoot and a holler, and it's just great. But I don't want to spoil anything that happens other than it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed every minute of it, watching it.
Good.
Second thing I want to review. Okay, and now I'm very tired of the Disney remake train.
Sure.
But Pinocchio came on today.
I can't wait to watch that.
Now I sat down to watch it. Oh, I could wait to watch it.
Yeah.
I thought I was just going to have an episode where we're going to talk about the newest trailer, but I looked at it and says, wow, this looks a lot like the cartoon. Kind of makes me just want to watch the cartoon. Yeah, and I did. I went ahead and watched the animated. I don't want to call it cartoon because Walt did not like that. He liked to say it was animated because he was creating art. I shouldn't say cartoon. Bad Jeremy.
Still a cartoon, though.
It's animation.
We'll call it anime classic.
Really, when I watched it, I will stick to my guns to say, this wasn't really necessary for them to make this.
Sure, the anime classic.
It really wasn't.
It really is.
Because you have a masterpiece. There's no reason to do it. However, that being said, it was adorable.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. It did kind of make me smile. I didn't enjoy it as much as the classic.
Yeah.
But I did like it. And it was pretty good. I mean, I think it's definitely worth it. It is one of the better of the remakes.
Yeah.
If not the best remake that they've done.
I feel that way about certain ones, with just a few little things where I would have done different. Talking about some of the remakes.
But what makes it good though is the fact that it's so much like the classic. Really, is that they're honoring the classic without trying to change it too much. But I do have a couple of bones to pick.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way it was about Beauty and the Beast. Where it was with.
And I appreciate trying to make a few changes that maybe enhance the classic story. But when you change it so much, it's like, oh, but see, if it was being remade by like a story, and then now another company is going to remake it, and it's like, so many years down the road, and you're doing just a completely different thing, that's one thing. But when you're like recreating exactly by the same company, and you've got such a masterpiece that has stood the test of time, that's where you would kind of keep it close, but also maybe make a few changes that just enhance it. And that's what they did. Yeah. But I didn't get to my bones to pick yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, there are some enhancements that have been kind of, so that gives a better reason for him to lose the ears and the tail then. And there's little gaps and little fillers, like, the questions you don't really ask, like, hey, Stromboli had to have some puppeteers working for him. Who's working all these puppets? Yeah. Oh, we get to meet one of them.
Well, that's good.
I mean, they fill in a few little gaps here and there. It's like, oh, well, that's kind of nice.
Now, I haven't watched it. Is the Fox in them involved?
I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to it. I haven't got my bones that I got to pick yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, the first bone I have to pick, and this is mainly just made me roll my eyes.
The Blue Fairy?
No. I don't have a problem with the Blue Fairy. It's a blue fairy. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. It's a black actress. She was actually really good. Yeah. Not so much they tried to rewrite the dialogue on it, and that kind of fell flat for me. But this is the only time you're going to hear "When You Wish Upon a Star." Really.
Yeah.
But she's known for doing musicals in Britain.
Oh, she sings it.
She doesn't sing the entire song. She picks up from "Fate Is Kind," but oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that part.
Singing that part, and I was like, oh, and it got me right to the heartstrings.
Yeah.
So, there it is. But okay, that's another bone I have to pick. But it's not the bone I was trying to get to. You quit asking questions. Quit asking questions. This is my class. Okay. I feel like don't ask questions in my class. Anyways, but I love, and I've mentioned this before with watching the classic animation, looking at all the fun little cuckoo clocks.
Yes.
Well, there's the one where the mother's spanking the kid.
Yes.
Now she gets one hit, and then a cop jumps out of the other side of the cuckoo clock and grabs her arm.
Okay.
Okay, look, if you have that much a problem with spanking, just don't put that clock in there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because here's what they did that was fun with cuckoo clocks. There's tributes to classic Disney films.
Oh, fun.
There's a Snow White, a Dumbo, Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit are on a clock.
Fun.
Woody comes out riding Bullseye on one of them with the cuckoo. I mean, there's so much Disney reference on these cuckoo clocks.
That makes sense.
That's funny, too. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yes, that's funny because Tom Hanks is playing Geppetto. Those clocks were so much fun because they weren't even being subtle. It's totally recreating little cuckoo scenes from the movies.
Heck, if it had been me, I would have put Splash in there because of the Tom.
That might have been funny, but we can put a little if you put a mermaid, everybody's gonna be like, well, that didn't look like Ariel. I don't know. But you could have just taken the spanking clock out and put in another Disney movie reference.
Sure, I would have done
for crying out loud. So that's a minor bone. I just rolled my eyes at it. My other bone to pick that's clear pretty early on is okay. So every Disney movie you have the logo thing, and they play the instrumental of "When You Wish Upon a Star."
Yeah.
Well, when it gets to the end, Jiminy Cricket floats down on his umbrella, and he says, like, well, you wish upon... He sees just a little bit, isn't that a great tune? We skipped over the song. We didn't really get it again until the Blue Fairy sang just another line out of it. And then Pinocchio kind of sings it at the end. But, like, that's the key song of this movie.
I agree.
And it was kind of almost unlimited. A lot of the songs were kind of halfway there. They did add a couple songs, and they weren't bad. But I've loved a lot of the classic songs, and I feel like I lost them. We did get High Diddly Dee kind of put back in, but not all of it. Just kind of like it's referenced, and they kind of sing maybe the chorus, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But it's like, but those are great songs, and I would love to have them to kept in because yes, we do have Honest John in there. Now, what was also weird?
Yeah, diss Honest John in reality,
but he was called Honest John.
Oh,
there's a great conversation with Jiminy Cricket. Okay, one thing I want to teach you, Pinocchio, is if someone calls themselves honest, they probably aren't. So,
I like it.
Why in the world would Jiminy Cricket have a American Southern accent? Yeah.
True.
Now, I don't know if that's intentional, but he did. I mean, he kind of came across as being like Southern. But Jiminy Cricket does not have the same charm. I'm sorry. It's really hard to replace that guy.
Who does the voice?
I should have looked it up. I think it's, I forgot the guy's name. He was on Third Rock from the Sun. I think it's him.
Oh.
And he's okay, but I don't know. It's missing some of the charm of the original actor.
Not talking about John Lithgow.
No, that's the one, the kid.
Oh.
Doggone it. Now I got to go and look it up, and I wasn't going to worry about it. Doggone it, there. He's holding up the whole show because now I'm misspelling Pinocchio.
I'm not holding it up.
Yes, you are, because now I'm having to go into IMDb and go look at all the credit. Doggone it. Wow, IMDb's got a 5.1, and Rotten Tomatoes is sitting at 31%. Wow. Although 71% on users like the movie. But that's what I'm finding out. The Rotten Tomatoes, the critics will hate something, us users will watch it and love it. And if they love it, then we probably hated it.
Yeah.
There it is, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, I like him, though.
Yeah, but he was okay as Jiminy Cricket, but he doesn't have the same charm. But I don't think he could really sing, so they couldn't have him do it.
Yeah.
So that's why they let that Blue Fairy actress, Cynthia, I can't think of what her name, I could probably look it up here. She sang it so good, I just wish they'd let her do the whole song.
Where's she from?
Nigeria, originally born in Nigeria, but from Britain. So she's got it's Cynthia Erivo. And that's more of a professional name. I did when I was trying to look her up. She's got a much longer name from Nigerian, but she went to British, so she got a British accent.
This is not this to him because I like him, but who they should have had to do Jiminy Cricket is someone who has a strong voice character.
Yeah, not an actor who's not really known for a voice.
Yeah, because he's a great actor.
Yeah,
but you need to have a voice that just. For instance, the upcoming Pinocchio movie for Netflix.
Yeah, that looks cool.
You know who's doing the voice, right?
Did we talk about that before?
Yeah, it's Ian McGregor.
Oh, it's the voice of who? Geppetto?
Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket. Oh,
yeah, and that makes sense.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And if they have him sing, he could. Now it's not that kind of Pinocchio. They say it's a kind of Pinocchio that we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's a slightly different story.
It's more of the original type of scary, and it's taken
sort of, but they've changed it a lot. Looks like.
My point is
that's a good idea because if you go through the original Pinocchio, he's a rotten kid.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be taken crazy, but I like it.
Yeah.
But Ian McGregor is that real strong voice.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor is going to be great.
That's what I mean.
So,
now this is again not anything against Mr. Hewitt there because I like him. It's just that
Levitt. You mean Gordon Levitt?
Levitt. I mean,
Gordon Levitt.
What did I say that?
Gordon Levitt is his entire
Levitt.
name.
Yes.
But
yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So overall, he was kind of just okay though. Now they did make some interesting changes, and I was kind of like I didn't know if this was a good idea. And there's a couple of things they added in that I thought would go somewhere. They'd spend a lot of time, and Geppetto even almost has a song. Tom Hanks is aware that he's not much of a singer, so he kind of William Shatner's a song. They're kind of, and you didn't realize it's a song until you realize he's rhyming, and there's some music kind of backing him up. But there's kind of a plot line they introduced to you that we don't know exactly what happened with his wife and his son. He doesn't have any pictures of his wife, but he has the pictures of his son. And they make a big deal. In fact, the light that really brings Pinocchio to life comes from the star through the window, hits a picture of his son, and reflects over and hit Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And then the Blue Fairy shows up because she wants to just teach him if he wants to become a real boy, you're going to have to prove yourself honest, brave, and true.
Like
that
this
kind of
story,
thing.
yeah.
But she's not the one that brought him to life. She's just coming to instruct him and take the strings off of him. And then, of course, anoints Jiminy Cricket as a official conscience.
When I first saw her picture, like I said, I hadn't seen it yet, but she reminded me of like one of the aliens from Star Trek, was why I was talking about how I thought she looked a little alienish, but I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
And it's I'm not going to get into that one too much, but but that plot doesn't really go anywhere. Another plot thing that doesn't go anywhere: Pinocchio actually goes to school and gets kicked out for being a puppet.
What?
The closest thing we get to that going anywhere is he gains a distrust for real people, but he wants to be a real boy.
Yeah.
So, but there's little plot things that don't seem to go anywhere. There's even a character you're going to meet that a puppeteer that she's got a crippled leg. She loves to be able to dance. She wants to be able to dance ballet, and the only way she does it is through this ballerina puppet that she works.
That's kind of neat.
I thought maybe that was going to go. I was wanting the Blue Fairy to grant her wish, or somehow that she was going to get her wish, but that really didn't go anywhere either. So they introduced these interesting ideas that really didn't go anywhere. And also, I got to say, I love Tom Hanks, but he seemed like he's trying to play to the young audience, almost like he gave a performance that he was talking down almost. Because this film I felt like it was aimed at if people like 5 years old and younger. It's very childish in that way, but I think that's why I also came across so cute. However, when it seems that they're aiming that low and that young, I will warn parents, the Pleasure Island sequence is downright frightening. to where I was like, wow, if I had a small child that would probably be just loving up to this point, that's kind of scary. Watching Lampy,
Yeah.
when he starts turning, I mean, it's almost comical, but it turns kind of horrible when he's turning into a donkey.
Yeah.
And then you see that the evil guy who's making the kids into donkeys has these big smoke demon cloud things that are violently grabbing up these kid donkeys, ripping the clothes off and throwing them into cages. I'm like, I'm an adult, I can handle that, and that's no biggie. But I'm thinking, a little kid, that's frightening.
Well, I'm a Pinocchio fan. I got a lot of Pinocchio decorations over here on my desk, and from the original cartoon. I'm a big time fan.
But overall, though, I think it's worth the time to sit and watch it. I did enjoy it. My other bone to pick, and this, I don't think I'm spoiling this movie for anybody. You know how it's supposed to end, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't end that way. Instead, we get a little dialogue where Jiminy Cricket, because the opening of the movie, and I kind of was like, all right, this isn't funny or whatever, but they had Jiminy Cricket talking to his narrator, Jiminy Cricket, and trying to figure out, what makes you think you know more? Oh, because I've already been through the story, so I know what's about to happen to you. Well, why in the world are you telling me? It wasn't funny, but narrator Jiminy Cricket shows back up at the end and says, well, some people say he actually turned into a real boy, but we know he just proved that he's a real boy by what he did. And it doesn't matter if he ever transformed or not. The heck it doesn't.
Yeah, that's dumb.
So you don't see him turn into a real boy at all.
Yeah, that's dumb.
The wish is not fulfilled, but he proved himself. It's like, you know what? You could have hired a child.
I guess I'm a little confused because nowadays with all sorts of other, I won't get into all of it, but let's just say people wanting their wishes to come true. Some that are but let's just say that this would have been the time for Disney to step out. It's not even step out; it's part of the story.
Yeah, it's part of the story. He should have been able to turn into a real boy.
People want their wishes to come true. In this case, it should have been.
There is one thing that's it's still a story I don't feel like really went anywhere. It didn't seem to hold any bearings on anything, but Geppetto does say that, well, at first I think I wished for you to be somebody else, but I love you because of who you are.
I like that.
I did appreciate that because that did kind of acknowledge that he wasn't trying to just make his son. Because at the beginning he was carving the puppet because of his son, to remind him of his son. And there's even another little story that it kind of bears something where all the cuckoo clocks, Geppetto doesn't sell those because his wife loved them.
Now that makes some sense. But
there's a lot of different things, but at least that makes a point, and it does kind of show up later. But I don't want to give everything away. I'm going to end this by just saying it's worth watching.
Yeah.
But if you have small children, if you know they're going to be easily frightened, I would be careful about that Pleasure Island scene because. I mean, at first, and they do show Pleasure Island differently. Instead of it's all fun, they show the kids really being bad and breaking things, and it's really the kids are being horrible.
Sadly, nowadays that's not so bad for a lot of the youngsters.
But I mean, they're running riot. But it turns a little scary, and I would be careful about your kids. You know what your kid can handle. But overall, I actually liked it. So, and I'd say it's worth your time to watch. It's not like the greatest thing you're ever going to see, and I'd still prefer the classic. Yeah. But it's worth watching.
Yeah,
I did appreciate that Monstro, instead of just being a whale, was a sea monster, because that makes a lot more sense.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know anything about whales at the time.
He terrified the snot out of me as a kid.
Well, guess what? Now he's got tentacles, and he's scarier than heck. So then that's something else that if you have small children, maybe hold off just a little bit unless you think they can handle something. But don't terrify your kids. But now we've got a topic we've been wanting to broach for a long time. Greeting card companies. Back in the 80s, there was a competition between American Greetings and Hallmark.
Yes.
American Greetings really, I believe it's Hallmark that had the Care Bears. Yeah. Or, no, wait, I'm going to look this up again. But basically you had the Care Bears, and then in competition directly with Care Bears was Shirt Tails. And one was by American Greetings, the other was actually by Hallmark. Let me see, Shirt Tails, were created in 1980 by greeting card designer Jan Elizabeth Manco and were featured on Hallmark cards, greeting cards. Okay, that's what, So Shirt Tails was Hallmark, and American Greetings is the ones that actually came up with the Care Bears.
And that's lucky because they didn't have the big stuff usually. So they were blessed.
I mean, American Greetings is bigger than you think, but Hallmark, I think, is around here at least. To Kansas City, Hallmark's a big name, but that's because it's headquartered here.
What I mean is, they're worldwide. Hallmark has the big ornaments. I mean,
their ornaments. Yeah. American Greetings, I mean, they're still a big company.
Yeah, they're
too.
still a big company.
But originally, like shirt tails were like these. And when I was looking through pictures and stuff, they had like little things you could sew together, but they were on cards, and they would have a message. They were little animals, and they'd have a message on their shirt.
It was kind of confusing for us. We were talking about how it was kind of confusing because when we first really started getting to the shirt tails, if you want to say, we got into it.
Hardy's toys, I remember those.
Yeah, but it was confusing because when you see the cartoon or the characters at Hardy's and all that, and the stuff at the store, you would have that, and then you'd also see these like a whole nother version of shirt tails.
Yeah,
as we were talking about
the original versions.
Yeah, so. Explain the original versions.
So, like in the, let me get into the cards here. Let me click this. I've got more than just IMDb here, or Wikipedia to look at. But the Hallmark cards released the homonymous line of greeting cards. I don't know what that. I'm not okay. Vocab. Who cares? They released greeting cards with animal characters wearing T-shirts upon which was the message. Those cards were among Hallmark's best sellers at the time, which led the company team with Hanna-Barbera Productions to adapt the Shirt Tails into a Saturday morning cartoon, which premiered on NBC on September 18th, 1982. The card line remained, but it faded shortly after the show left broadcast television in 1985. Now, here's what was fun: is by the time I first heard of it, with the Hardy's ones, they were actually starting to make characters.
Yes.
And that's where it changed when with the animated series. Now you had characters they were making instead of just random animals. But occasionally you'd have like a different animal show up in the cartoon. I vaguely remember.
I was in first grade whenever it came on in 82. I was in first grade. I remember it came out at Christmas time at Hardy's. And we had the characters at this point. You had the ones I really liked. I remember getting them. I remember at Christmas I got Digger. And my sister got Pam. That was the panda.
Pam the panda, Digger the mole.
But the one I loved the most, and my grandpa was a fan of the old movies because that's when he was around. You know, he was young and all, and he liked Humphrey Bogart and some of those great characters. I mean, Casablanca and all that.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It's a tremendous film. But there was I think one of the most lovable characters. I loved them all, but I love Bogey.
Bogey the orangutan.
Bogey the orangutan, and he talked like a kind of a caricature of
a really bad Bogart impersonation.
But that's what people did back then. There were certain actors that people to this day do caricatures of them. Jack Nicholson and others, and Humphrey Bogart's one that people still hey babe, hey, and they still do it. And it is, whether you realize it or not, that's people's Humphrey Bogart caricature.
Yeah, but of course we've mentioned Pammy Panda, Digger Mole, and Bogey Orangutan. But you also had Tyke Tiger.
I liked him.
Who his favorite thing is when he'd go running, he'd go doing, and he'd run off.
I remember that.
And then Rick Raccoon, which I need to find the voice. I can't remember. I want to make sure I got this right one. I even looked this up because I found this actor was actually in Gomer Pyle.
Is that right?
Yeah, had a part there, and I believe it was Robert Allen Ogle, who also was the voice. He was the voice of Rick Raccoon. But he was also, let's see. Well, that's not saying everything. Let me look at his film. If I'm looking at the right actor, he was, though, the voice of the Cat from Outer Space for Disney.
See, that was the thing back in the day.
But I'm trying to look to see which actor it was. Hopefully I've got the right guy. Ooh.
Back in the day when you had these people do voices, these character voices, they were real characters. They would be these people whose voices you hear, and then you could just see something busting out. For instance, the actor...
There he is, Ronald Ralph Shell.
Oh, I love him.
Yes. So now you see his picture. He was on television.
I saw him on All in the Family a couple times. Yeah. He was I seen him in a movie the other day. Well, he was on that movie, Deeds Not Words. What was that? That horrible movie about those soldiers. That film that I can't think of the name of it right now. Hang on here.
Well, you had another thought you were going with, though, too.
Oh, Megaforce.
That Megaforce movie?
Yeah, he was on Megaforce. Oh, I was going to say, it's just like the actor who's on a lot of things, including the Bob Newhart show.
Yeah.
He played one of the people he would work on because he was a psychiatrist. Yeah. He ended up doing the voice of Piglet, remember? Piglet that guy's voice, he was on there. And he ended up. It was really hilarious. He was like one of those character actors show up and do that kind of a.
Are we still talking about Ralph show?
No.
Because I don't recall him being
saying one of the actors on the Bob Newhart show.
Oh, okay.
He I can't remember his name right now, but he would show up on a lot of shows, and he was that real nervous guy.
Yeah,
and so
he did a lot of other different things even before Piglet.
He even showed up. He also showed up on Star Trek once, playing a detective.
We're losing track.
No. He showed up doing the voice, and he ended up being Jack the Ripper. So it's funny because at the end, when you realize it's Jack the Ripper and he's using his voice, it sounds like Piglet is Jack the Ripper.
Oh.
He's like, "I'll kill you!" Ha ha ha! And it sounds like Piglet's Jack the Ripper.
Oh wow,
it's hilarious.
I was waiting for this to wrap back around somehow to the short tail, so I didn't know where you're going with this.
My point is, some of these old actors. These old actors had the greatest voices that they could use later on these old shows.
And they could use them in these shows.
That's my point. So Piglet's Jack the Ripper. That's my other point.
Okay. Okay. But it also mentions that they had Kip Kangaroo.
Yes.
Around season, there was 10 episodes in season 1. Season 2, they had a semi-rebooted. They had Kip Kangaroo in Light Yellow, as I mentioned. Buck Beaver, Prairie Dog Pete, Violet Skunk, Fillmore Coyote, Who's It Owl, and Cubby Bear. Now, what's fun, though, is
you didn't know about them as much because they weren't in the first. You didn't see them as much.
Yeah, because I mainly remember watching one season, but I own the whole set now. I found.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't I tell you about this?
I don't think so.
Yes, I did, but because you were like, "Oh, I want to watch it."
Oh, that's right. I do want to watch it.
That's actually how we got into this because I found over your sister was garage selling stuff.
Yes,
and she had like the complete series of it. For cheap. So I bought it. I was like, dude, I remember that show. And so Heather and I sat and watched some Shirt Tales.
I really love that Hanna-Barbera right now is selling a lot of their old stuff. I now have every episode of the Dukes of Hazzard that they did. It was just called the Dukes. And
was that the one with the cousins?
The first season had the cousins, and it's pretty much the same show except that you can hear their voices not the same, but it has the original cast, and it has the Dukes, it has the cousins on the first season. The second season was Bo and Luke, and it's not a great show, but one thing Hanna-Barbera knew how to make it fun. They always did that with their shows. They also always made animals kind of be a character themselves. That's what they did. So you have, let's see, what was his name? What was Sheriff's dog was also a character.
No, wasn't Duke. I forgot the dog's name.
Me too. But he was a character on it.
Yeah. Here's your voice cast. So Nancy Cartwright, later who'd be Bart Simpson, was Kip Kangaroo in the second season. That Bob Ogle character I mentioned before was Digger Mole. Now, he had a distinct voice.
Yes.
He had that kind of... I can't do it. But he had a very specific voice. Patricia Paris as Pammy Panda. Steve Schatzberg as Ty Tiger. Ronnie Shell as Rick Raccoon. Fred Travalina as Bogey Orangutan. Herb Vigran was Mr. Dinkle. And Sparky Marcus as TJ Tiger.
Love it.
TJ Tiger. Who was TJ Tiger? I don't know. That must have come along later. But, that was one of the things is like I love how goofy this was, that they were like these undercover secret agents.
Oh,
and they had a secret base in the tree. And every once in a while, they would get an assignment on this big computer screen. It was a human giving them assignments.
I remember that.
But Mr. Dinkle, who was out to clean the park that they lived in, never had a clue what was going on.
No.
That they're like secret agent animals in T-shirts.
I forgot about that.
It was a ridiculous premise that only you can get away with a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah, because it's all ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous.
It's all fun.
Oh, it was so much fun. I forgot how much fun it was, but it was very childish when I was watching. Oh, looking at the picture now, Kip Kangaroo. I remember Kip Kangaroo.
But when you're 6 years old, I was 6 when it came on. When you're 6 years old, it all makes complete sense.
Sure it does.
It is for kids after all.
Now, here's another fun thing, talking about like theme parks, which we frequently do.
I remember this.
1984, Six Flags. Mm-hmm. Six Flags actually had Shirt Tales.
I remember this now. I never got to go, but I remember seeing that they had them, and it seems to me that World of Fun would borrow characters from time to time, because it seems like once in a great while you'd have one show up at different places. And I'm wondering, I know that the Care Bears showed up at different places, but it seems like Shirt Tales showed up somewhere. I don't remember if it was
Six Flags. We probably got ads for it for the St. Louis. Here we go. For the first full season, all the Six Flags parks welcomed the addition of the Shirt Tails animated characters. The Shirt Tails were a short-lived creation of the Hallmark Card Company with their own animated series on Saturday mornings, and the parks added walk-around characters and rethemed their children's areas with Shirt Tails-themed attractions. Kitty Kingdom became Shirt Tails Land, and all the existing attractions were renamed, and new interactive experiences like ball crawls and climbing nets were added, bringing the area up to date with the trends in children's attractions. And I even found a website that has like a photo of a Shirt Tails theater where all the walk around characters are all. Well, I can't blow it up any bigger than that, unfortunately, to get a good look at that picture. But yeah, there's photos of when they were there at the parks.
I remember seeing. You know what? Seems like we did go to. Where was it? I went to a place where I saw one, but I never went to Six Flags. It might have been that they came to World of Fun or something. But I do remember seeing one in person. I don't remember which one it was.
A good picture there. There's Digger there, and his shirt says, "Here I come." Now, what's interesting when you look at the costumes, all of the characters gave them all hats because when you look at them compared to the size of a kid, they wanted the character to appear child-sized. So the hat is clearly where the head of the actual person in the suit is at. Oh my goodness! But yeah, because look, they put a hat on Bogey and all. I mean, they just made it work. But let's see
they want to be scary.
Yeah. But it says, we've mentioned before the Shirt Tails' brief stay at the Six Flags Parks back in the mid-'80s. Today, the WWOB, that's some sort of movie reserve, that's the website. I'm reading it directly from this website here. Crack Research Team has unearthed video of the Shirt Tails appearing live at Six Flags Astro World all the way back in 1985. The audio is so low you can't really hear it, but enjoy a minute and a half of a group of teenagers getting paid minimum wage to dance around these gigantic costumes. I am going to play some of this here audio. It's actually apparently on YouTube.
See, I remember Pammy wearing a pink hat.
Let's see if I can turn that up a little bit. Yeah, but Pammy didn't have a pink hat. None of them had hats in the actual cartoon.
But I remember somebody dressed like it.
World's Fun had a panda character.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it wasn't Shirt Tails.
Oh, I see.
That was just part of the world.
No, I realized that one as soon as I remember.
We're talking over this audio.
Sorry.
Okay, well, that audio is really not very good. I'm going to try when I go and treat this and edit this episode, I'm going to try to boost that audio. Hopefully you got to hear that really well. But yeah, that audio was just so bad. But you kind of get the idea. They're all the Shirt Tails come out and introduce themselves. They're doing little dances. I got one last. Oh, I bet this YouTube link I have here is actually going to that video. No, this is an ad. Here we go.
Mountain children's world that could fill your fondest dreams, where vegetables are lollipops and bubbles seem like jelly beans. Imagine a Six Flags world where cars are aeroplanes and you can walk upon the moon. Search for Porridge School with Pac-Man, ride with a Shirt Tails raccoon. A special place where kids can see through magic eyes, because Magic Mountain's new children's world is exactly children's size.
Now, Six Flags Magic Mountain, did y'all catch that? He mentioned doing stuff with Pac-Man. Pac-Man was there, too. Then you should see the costume.
I remember
really
those
funny.
days, man.
Oh, man. So I didn't get to Six Flags until the Batman ride was actually there.
Good days.
Oh, and I have one last thing that I found called Rediscover the 80s, and it says Shirt Tails are back at Hallmark. Now, this was back 2018, though, so I don't know if I go to a Hallmark store if I'm going to find them, but they made some little plushes
Oh, similar to the ones that went to Hardee's, but not.
Yeah,
I mean, same characters.
Well, I mean, but they were making these actually in Hallmark stores. You could buy them back then.
That's great.
Now I don't know if these are still available, but they did make some new plushes.
Seems like I heard about them then.
Yeah, this was 2018, so this has been 4 years ago. Well, I don't know if you can still find them. I kind of want to go to a Hallmark store and look and see if you can actually still get these plushes. But yeah, look online. You might actually be able to get yourself some plushes and then relive your own fun of watching this show when you were a kid. And, Philip's already looking up stuff on his phone. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I do want to remind you all, of course, visit our website, neverlandpodcast.com, where you will find my podcast reviews. A link right in there. If you happen to have a podcast, you want to be able to get your reviews from around the world. It also gives you a convenient way to leave reviews. I don't think I've gotten a new review in a while. Maybe I'm not paying enough attention to my email address. I don't know. But I haven't gotten a new review in a while. And, reviews do help people to find the show. Make sure you're sharing the show. Make sure you share these links. And we're on social media. Facebook is probably the best place to find it. But like I said, I am on TikTok. And don't forget, if you happen to be coming on Saturday, let me know that you're coming to meet us in Marceline. We're going to go to the museum. We're going to go have lunch at the cafe. We're going to go visit a lot of different places in Marceline. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, both Philip and I will be there. And hopefully nothing will go wrong. I know my wife has decided she's not coming because she wants to go to a butterfly thing of some sort or something, or hummingbirds or something at another park. So she's not coming. So you won't get to meet the Wendy Nerd. But, of course, we want to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the syndicated Wilhite and Wall Show for their help in making our intro. But don't forget, you can email us at podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. Find us on Facebook. We've got a group and a fan page, both for you to follow. And let me go down and make sure I've got everything on here. I'm not going to worry about that voicemail because, like I said, I don't think it works. You can donate to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Neverland Podcast. And, of course, as we say at the end of every show, get lost in an adventure! And we'll see you, hopefully, on Saturday.